welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. I got a few DC updates for you today. It's going to be nuts. But before all that, I have to thank the members of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Thank you so much for supporting my channel and being the lifeline of this channel. Thank you very much. And you too can join the Ping Pong Flix Show with the measly cost of a cup of coffee a month. And once we reach 100 members, of course, we will have that random prize drawing. And you've already seen that random prize drawing, and I think you guys are pretty excited to win that. But of course, even the subscribers, once we reach 15,000 subscribers, we'll also have a random prize drawing for an awesome DC merchandise. So please click the join button or subscribe, and maybe even get a Teespring t-shirt down below. All right, now let's get on with the news. The first things first is there's a first official look at Javicia Leslie's Batwoman. This is coming from CW. Batwoman becoming her own Batwoman at Javicia Leslie. This looks great. I think this looks fantastic. I think she looks really great in the suit, much better than what she had before. Not the straight red hair, but she does have the curls in there, and so she gets to have her own character through that suit as well. And you can see that it is definitely very similar, and I think maybe even actually the suit that Jim Lee drew out on that for DC Fandom on that giant panels. And I think she's gonna do really well as the new Batwoman for the CW. So I can't wait to see her in action, definitely. And it must be a first official look, Dave, because there's a first official look at Curran Walters as Red Hood for Titans. This is coming from DC Titans. Welcome to the Hood. Jason Todd returns as the Red Hood in Season 3 of Titans. Season 1 and 2 stream November 1st on HBO Max if you need to catch up with the seasons. It's really good. I'd say Season 2 is more comic booky than the first one. There's a lot of character development in both seasons, but if you're really looking forward to that very comic booky, Season 2 is for you. And interesting to see that we're going to get a Red Hood without going through the death of Jason Todd, right? Unless we do get some of that in Season 3, or are we going to go shoot straight to Curran Walters as Jason Todd, as Red Hood, right off the bat? Are we going to get some semblance of him transforming to the Red Hood without even having Joker, without even having him die, without even having Batman trying to save him? Are we going to get that? How is this going to go? But we look at the suit, and I like it. And like you said, it does very much like the Arkham ones, especially with the hood here. And if you can, I think if you bring out the jacket a little bit, you can see the symbol a little bit better there. But that looks great. I am digging the suits. This is really, it's our first live action Red Hood, and I think it's going to go well. Let's see if he can really knock this out of the park, though, because apparently rumored is that he is supposed to get a spin-off series, Red Hood spin-off series, and if he can really pull it off in this Titans Season 3, I think that will give the go-ahead, unless it's already done, and we'll get to see him head his own spin-off series on HBO Max. But because it's on HBO Max, I think the budget is a little bit higher now, and so they can pull off some amazing things here, and hopefully this suit, along with the budget for the entire series, will clearly show when we watch it in Season 3. And I'm really hoping for that. I think they had some great awesome moments in Season 2 and even some parts in Season 1, but we can push the envelope even more, and I think this is kind of like a clue that they can definitely go a little bit farther than that. How will it work story-wise? We'll have to wait and see when we watch Titans Season 3. Now, I talked a little bit about the Suicide Squad yesterday, but maybe I should have waited because a giant article from the Empire magazine had dropped today. The Empire magazine's look at the Suicide Squad, and I want to share this article with you. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn, on how it relates to David Ayer's film and why it's different from Guardians. These are some exclusive images you see right here. I shared this on Instagram and Facebook as well, so you can go and check it out. Also on Twitter, you see the Polka Dot Man here, you see the Peacemaker, you see Bloodshot, and you also see Ratcatcher 2, all in this image here. What are they looking at? I have no idea. And who is going to die? I have no idea at all. But this is an article by Ben Travis. Back in 2016, the burgeoning DC Extended Universe followed up Superhero Jamboree, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice with supervillain or anti-hero at best team-up movie, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, uniting a gang of misanthropic oddballs on a quest they weren't all supposed to survive. But while the film bagged nearly $750 million at the worldwide box office, it didn't set the world alight for critics and was considered a disappointment among many fans. Fast forward half a decade later, and the bad guys on a suicide mission comic book project is getting a brand new lease on life in the Suicide Squad, a not quite sequel, not quite reboot from Guardians of the Galaxy filmmaker James Gunn. But if it's not necessarily a continuation of Ayer's film, but not exactly a reboot either, there are several returning characters, including Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, Joe Kinnaman's Rick Flag, Viola Davis's Amanda Waller, and Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang. What exactly is the Suicide Squad? It's its own thing, Gunn tells Empire in a major world exclusive interview. It does not contradict the first movie, I don't think. It might in some ways, in some small ways, I don't know. For all that Ayer's film is not considered a narrative success, Gunn has plenty of praise for the original Suicide Squad his predecessor assembled. So much of that he brought plenty of them back. Listen. David Ayers got in trouble for the movie, he says. I know it didn't come out how David wanted it to come out, but he did one really, really great thing. And that is he picked fantastic actors to work with. And he dealt with these actors in building their characters in a really deep and fearless way. It's something David definitely deserves to be lauded for. And it's definitely added to this movie. Very great words for David Ayers and Suicide Squad. With a host of bonkers new players this time around, just look at David Dastmalchian's Polka Dot Man, or the half-human King Shark, or even the half-human Weasel. There are hopes that Gunn can pull off something special with the Suicide Squad. He does, after all, have form in putting together a bunch of a-holes in tonally irreverent comic book adaptations, though his squad is far less trustworthy than the Guardians. I think you know from pretty close to the beginning that all the Guardians are good, apart from Nebula, who's the outlier, Gunn explains. But in the Suicide Squad, some of the characters end up being good. Some end up being terrible. They don't just get in fights and say they're going to kill each other. They actually do get in fights and kill each other. You really don't know who's going to live and who's going to die. I was given full freedom to kill anyone, and I mean anyone, by DC. So there's a full world exclusive. If you want to go and check it out, the link of this article and where you can read more in the description below. But this is interesting, where he does continue to say that he can kill anyone within this movie. I know yesterday I kind of talked about that maybe he could even kill Harley Quinn, and some of you say, well, that's important. He's not going to kill Harley Quinn, and that's true. He probably won't kill Harley Quinn, but he's saying if he really wanted to, he can. The freedom that he's being allowed on this DC film is amazing, to the point that it doesn't really need to be a sequel to David Ayer's film or a sequel to anything, or it could even be a prequel to anything else after that. If he is doing this movie because he wants to do this movie the way he wants it, and he wants to explore the story and the characters, killing or letting others live the way he wants it to, no one is safe. No one is safe in this movie. I think that really makes it kind of it could be frustrating to a lot of people because they want that interconnectivity, but it's looking like he's not part of that whatsoever. He can do what he wants in this movie, unless he's lying, unless he's just trying to say that so you don't feel safe, or you do feel safe with certain characters thinking they're going to survive, and then he offs them just like that. It could happen. It could. And I think that's a great strategic way of looking at the Suicide Squad in terms of the general audience, kind of putting that shock factor in. I'm sure a lot of us are going to say, hey, Harley Quinn's not going to die. Rick Flag's not going to die. These certain characters are not going to die. Let's wait and find out if they really do live on after this movie. He had a few other words as well. When someone says, has any actor suggested to not kill off the character? And he said this: it really sucks having to tell an actor you're killing a character they play, especially if they played the character in another film, or if they didn't die in a first draft. Most of them do not want to die, but everyone I've told has been mature about it. So even then, he has gone through that already, where he's telling like certain characters that have been probably played in another film and you think they're safe, kills them off just like that. Now, in this context, though, he's actually talking about Yondu in this context. And someone asked him, clearly those are not comic book readers, as we all know Yondu will not stay dead. James Gunn had this to say: I get sometimes you can bring back characters in a cool way, but usually if a character dies and it's a meaningful part of the story, the character should stay dead. So unless it's a flashback, Yondu will stay dead. As far as I'm concerned, otherwise it ruins the sacrifice. So you can almost see his mindset here, where if he's getting a chance to do the Suicide Squad, the second, in a way, the third, the Suicide Squad movie after this one, and there's a chance that he could bring back a character, he's telling you right here and now, whoever dies in this movie will stay dead unless it's a flashback. They're very mortal here. They're not, yes, it's comic book characters and things like that, but he means business. No character is safe in the Suicide Squad. So how is that good? Well, it really keeps you on the edge of your seat, because he's literally telling you that black cast of characters that don't get too attached to all these characters, even the ones that you may think they're still going to be alive, because James Gunn has the power now, because DC is telling him you can do whatever you want with these characters, however you see fit in your movie. He could just off them just like that. How insane! How insane. I'm really waiting to see this movie, and I'm really waiting to be surprised. I'm sure that we're going to have discussions and conversations, and there's going to be arguments online, even love or hate. There's going to be some big things probably coming out of this movie where you probably expected something, and it's not that at all. So be prepared. Be prepared. All right, let's talk a little bit about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, we didn't get a tease yet today. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'll still wait. I thought Monday was going to be it. I guess not. We'll have to wait a little bit longer. But it doesn't mean we can't talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And Real Anarchy are doing exactly that. All the possible characters joining Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is from Real Anarchy. Here's all the possible characters joining Zack Snyder's Justice League. Additional photography by John Aaron Garza. So I'm going to read some of this to you, but please go ahead and check out this article in the description below. Now, Zack has said that his Knightmare world would have played an integral part in his Justice League plan, and that was one of the many things reduced by Jeff Johns and studio execs. But with scenes being added, it looks like we're getting that world again. Only this time, it's to bring things we weren't fully aware of back to realization. This is a forewarning, though. If you want to be completely unaware of these details, be cautious. Spoilers may be present below. Of course, this is his own words here on his article, so please take that into account. But The cast. We can start with the obvious and known people involved so far. That has been confirmed. So we already know, we've talked about this already. Ben Affleck as Batman, Ray Fisher as Cyborg, Amber Heard as Mara, Jared Leto as Joker, Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. Now, for the characters most likely to appear in the additional photography, unconfirmed so far, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Henry Cavill as Superman, Harry Lennox as Martian Manhunter. This is interesting. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and of course, to be determined, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So I'm going to read to you the section called The New Additions, but this specific paragraph. The other characters most likely to appear are Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and, big one, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Now, Lawrence Fishburne plays Perry White and was absent from the 2017 film because of schedule conflicts. But it appears that Zack and writer Chris Terrio would be able to figure out a way to fit him somewhere in the extra 30 minutes of additional footage being added to the 214 cut, which was also compromised and will be altered. As for Robbie and Davis, they would be reprising their Suicide Squad roles as Harley Quinn and Amanda Waller in the Knightmare timeline as well. They would be helping the Resistance with Batman and Cyborg and could also be possibly involved with Arkham scenes. Harley Quinn, but big one, Amanda Waller is going to be the Knightmare timeline? That's amazing. That's interesting. That's amazing as well, but it's also very interesting, and I'm really curious about that. I mean, that's really cool because it does show you that this is the makings of a Justice League and Suicide Squad team up against the forces of Darkseid, right? So this could possibly be something that's truly could be actually happening. Amanda Waller, I'm wondering what her role. I mean, she's probably going to be the big boss and probably be in charge of a lot of the Resistance, maybe. And speaking of her talking to Bruce Wayne in Suicide Squad, that interaction, they really have that kind of power struggle there. So I'm wondering how that's going to go if this is true. I think that's fantastic. I think Amanda Waller being part of that could really spice things up for the Knightmare vision. And it really truly shows that they need everybody, and I mean everybody, including the Joker, to take on Darkseid and the forces of Apocalypse, including evil Superman. This really is going to be Suicide Squad kill the Justice League, well, kill Superman. So it's going to be kind of fun to see if this is true, and I'm really digging the thought of that idea that could possibly happen, right? The other thing, of course, is Green Lantern. As we all know, John Aaron Garza is really a lot into that. The unknowns. The big unknown in all this will be Green Lantern show up. From what I've been told by several sources is that Ryan Reynolds is the likely candidate to portray Hal Jordan. This version would be completely different and not a continuation of the 2011 film. Reynolds would be playing an older version of Hal that has been away in space for most of his Lantern career. And this wouldn't just be what Reynolds wants. Zack has also expressed his desire in wanting Reynolds to portray Jordan, is what he's heard. The main reason for Jordan appearing would be to usher in a younger Jon Stewart that would eventually join the main Justice League. He would be the Lantern for the team in the following seasons of Zack Snyder's Justice League, but even if Reynolds doesn't portray Jordan, both him and Stewart would be cast with new actors playing the roles. So he puts a little line in there that if Reynolds doesn't agree to this, that they're definitely going to have a new actor for Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. And from what he's been told, Zack has big plans for Jon Stewart's Green Lantern. Just keep in mind that these teases will be minor and most likely won't involve much action except to warn Bruce of the impending doom of Darkseid after Steppenwolf's defeat. Now, that to me just sounds like that little detail where, Grace Randolph had said that they did shoot part of the scene where Bruce is in that lake house and Green Lantern comes and visits him. And I would probably, likely to expect that it could be Hal Jordan and John Stewart at this point, warning him about the forces of Apocalypse and Darkseid coming. So, and that would be that little short tease for that. So I'm really intrigued by this, and this is a really cool article. I encourage you to check it out and read it. It's got some really cool things that could possibly happen, not confirming that it is going to happen at all. We don't know. I think really at this point, Zack is the one that really truly knows what's going to happen in this film in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I'm all for it. I'm really curious to know what's going to happen in this. It's going to be an epic adventure, a huge movie, a huge DC movie, miniseries, whatever you want to call it, that's going to come out next year in 2021 on HBO Max. A 4-part, 1 hour each. It's going to be huge. And I think we're going to be dying to know by the end of that miniseries if we're ever going to get a part 2 and a part 3. So the wait till Justice League is going to be a little bit longer, but the wait to know if we're going to get more after that, hopefully not that much longer as well. As you know, we're getting to the point where we're getting a little bit greedy now. I get we're getting part 1, but man, I want part 2 and part 3 if that's a possibility, and if the context of this story will explore that possibility later on. So that's really exciting. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you absolutely love this daily dose of DC content in movies, shows, and video games, please click the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, keep this hot dog light on, and I'll see you next time. Bye.